Hi everyone, welcome today. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching live or you're watching the video. I'm so grateful that you're here today to learn about letting go of your fear and embracing your authentic self. I'm really lucky today to have two amazing women with me, Dagmar Gattel, SEO expert and extraordinaire. She is my co-host today and is one of the people in my support system that has helped me release some fears and stay in my authentic self. And we're also joined today by Samantha, who I lovingly call Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. And she is one of my clients that really is what I would call the poster child for therapy, meaning she has done such amazing things with her life being a part of a therapy process that I'm so grateful she's joining us today to teach us the things that she's learned on her journey in releasing her fear. So welcome, Dagmar and Sam. Hi.
Thank you. I'm very excited about today too. And just from my perspective, right? Because in online marketing, you hear all the time, be your authentic self and just be real. But you know what? It's not as easy as that you decide to be like this, because like there are fears. There are fears that now suddenly you're in the spotlight. Now suddenly you're judged for what you do. And now suddenly everything what you record, a video or what you write, others put you in a box. So I shared our plot today just from an SEO perspective to give you visibility, but also to let everybody who's connected with me know we go to all these Twitter chats and hear about the technical part of being your authentic self and what you should do from a social media perspective, which is easy for me because it's logical, right? But here, my heart and my spirit, it's not as easy for me to be like this, to be on the video. So I cannot wait to learn from you both, from the one who's teaching and the one who's executing and growing with it.
Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that, because you're absolutely right. And that's one of the ways that you have really helped me grow in this area, is by teaching me how to embrace my voice and what I have to offer the world in the world of online, just the world out there, whether it's
we're global. Do you mean there's no limitations? Like everybody who's online from Australia, from Europe, from India, from South America, everybody is here. So when else did we have this chance to really make a difference and share our message, right? And change the world at the end, because didn't you teach me that every little step makes a change?
Absolutely. So I am so grateful to you for being one of my guides, and I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Support me on the path. So a little bit about fear, and then I'm gonna invite Sam to comment. Fear is a feeling that comes up for us when we are usually thinking about something that we experienced in the past. So we may have actually had that experience, or we may have witnessed something that happened to someone else, or we may have heard about something. And when we feel fear in the present, it's typically because we're recalling that incident, whether we're conscious of it or not. And then our brain tells us, oh, that outcome is going to happen again today and in the future. And the point of this specific talk is really to learn how to manage that fear when it comes up, so that we don't let it control our lives. It's not that we want to get rid of fear. Fear is an important emotion. We all have it, and it can be really valuable. It can keep us safe if we're listening to it and responding to it in a healthy way. If we let it take over, then it becomes very limiting in our lives and the way we feel comfortable expressing ourselves. It tells us, you can't, it's not safe, don't do it, it's not a good idea, it's not possible, whatever those messages are for you that you might relate to. So the idea isn't to get rid of fear, it's to learn how to release the fears that are having an unhealthy impact in our life, and to be able to live to our full potential and as our authentic selves. So with that, I have a few questions that I prepared for Sam so that she can share with us what she learned about doing this in her own life. And the first one is, Sam, what are 3 of the most, or as many as you want to share with us, the most important action steps you took to releasing your fears and becoming your authentic self?
I guess when I started this process, somewhere along the way, I committed to the process. If you had asked me on day one, you know, are you still going to be in this process a couple of years later? Are you going to be still working on your growth? I would say no. Like, I'm here for
Thank you for being so honest. Yeah. I would be surprised if you would say, yeah, lifetime.
No way, you know. And I'm sure you hear that so often. Like, well, how long
do I have to be here?
You know. But when I got here, I was desperate enough that I don't even know if I asked that question, because somewhere along the way I made the commitment to the process, and I committed to being consistent. You know, obviously there were sessions that I missed, but I think I can look back over my time with Dawn and say that I was pretty consistent over time. The other thing is that I said yes. Right? I stopped being a no person and I moved towards being a yes man or a yes woman. But, you know, if Dawn said, you know, you're going through something really tough, maybe you need to come twice for a couple weeks. Or if you, you know, I have this women's group that would maybe help you work through the relationship stuff. Because so much of what I was afraid of was how I interacted with other people. Like the shame.
Which way?
And the vulnerability. Well, I function on fear. Fear has really dominated my life for a long time based on some of my own experiences. My brain definitely told me that what I saw or experienced was going to happen again. And so I had learned over time to build walls and to put up those walls so that people couldn't get in. You know, when I started the group processes with Dawn, I remember saying, she would say, well, how are you feeling? And I'd say, I feel like somebody pulled up my armor and stabbed me in the gut, because my walls were coming down and I didn't know how to relate to people. I didn't know how to do it. And so when she said, you know, try this women's group, I said, okay. I said yes. Once I started to be able to have relationships with people and they would say, do you want to go to breakfast? I started saying, yes, I would love to go to breakfast. You know, I really didn't know how to relate to people in an honest way. And so I said yes. And I was willing to give it a shot. I was willing to admit that I didn't like where I was anymore. And in order to feel different, I had to do something different.
You know what you just said, Sam, right? Well, before, how you started with, you were desperate. Believe it or not, so many of us business owners are online and we want to succeed and we want to build a great business, and we are less or more desperate to bring in the leads and bring in the business, right? And that's really what drives us to get over our fears and to be become our authentic self. But then I think what hinders us is seeing the value of it and the commitment, what you clearly saw from the beginning, because you started saying yes. And that's what I see too. As soon as you turn off your brain with your fears and saying no and putting the shield up and just hiding behind it, right? And stepping out and saying, okay, good, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Then I really can see, because it's really what you experience. It's online the same. It's social media the same. Now suddenly you're visible. So what do you do with that? So that's why I love with Dawn, because what Dawn teaches for our personal life, it's the same what I'm going through online. It's the same what many of my clients going through online. Suddenly you are visible. Like we didn't grow up, especially women didn't grow up now, hey, I'm the hero, I'm the Wonder Woman. We grew up like little scared kids, little scared girls, or little scared children, and more to please others as to say proudly what we can. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Dawn and I had a really similar conversation just a few weeks ago, because the last action step for me was actually developing my own spirituality and forming a relationship with a God that I have. And it's not a religious thing for me. It's really just about a relationship. But I was afraid to share that part of me on social media, like really afraid.
I understand.
It's not even like from a career thing. It's just, the people on Facebook, they're going to know that I have this relationship with God. Like,
what if they judge?
What if they judge me? What if I get labeled as a Bible thumper, which I'm not. And so I totally relate to that. But I've taken small steps. There's a church nearby me that I've started going to that I really like, and it's had a really powerful experience for me. And I liked their page. Like that was monumental for me, because that's forever out there. And I'm slowly, following different people. And I realized, I said to Dawn, there's a thing on Facebook that says, you have to let your weirdo light shine bright so all the other weirdos know where to find you. And I thought a couple times, and I was like, what, okay. But then it hit me one day that if I want to surround myself with people who are on a similar path with me, who have the same values and who are committed to growing and want a relationship with God, then I have to tell them who I am. Otherwise, they won't know where to find me. And so that for me was like a turning point. And it's just been in the last couple weeks, and I have chills like talking about it, because it's really been part of my process.
You pretty much just wrapped up the whole show.
Awesome. No, that's awesome what you just said, Sam. And I know, like with Dawn, I'm not surprised about anything, because she's genius in business and her spirituality is just unbelievable. And Dawn, let us talk about the empathy. So what's interesting, I was a co-host at a club about personal branding, right? So this gentleman said, personal branding, don't have a strategy, don't have a process. Personal branding is you are you, and you treat whatever you feel, you treat whatever you believe in, you treat whatever value you want to provide. And do you know what? It's the same with blog posts. Some of my clients, it's a self-esteem thing, right? It's really a fear thing. Now suddenly you have your blog post out there, and others have another opinion about what you write, and perhaps they comment negatively, or they share your blog post with whatever bad comment on it. So I was so surprised to hear personal branding is being your authentic self, being real. So again, bringing it back to this club we have with Dawn now, overcoming fears. It's all about fears. It's fears really what holds us back to build a great tribe, or to build a great community, or to share in social media, to write awesome blog posts. And it's not the technical side. It's not to know how to write it. It's more suddenly now you have value. You give yourself value. How dare you give yourself value? You're depending on others giving you value. So that's why I'm just so excited about this club, because it's so many aspects of my life, of my business life, not only of my personal life, but of my business life, of social media, of how building websites, how sharing value with the world is depending on your fear, how much you allow yourself to do that.
The other thing really quick that Dawn said that really made a difference for me was about, if you're trying to be somebody that you're not all the time, you're denying somebody else the dignity of deciding whether they like you or not. Like I can't make everybody like me all the time. It's exhausting. Have you tried it?
I did.
It's exhausting. And so, that
I was raised like that.
It really helped me to realize that, people, that's part of being a human, is you get to decide what you like and what you don't like. And I can't be everything to everyone. And so that, again, was really freeing for me.
Absolutely. I was just going to add to that, that I'm well known for saying, Dagmar, what you do in life, you do in life. Mm-hmm. Meaning, whether you do it in your personal life, it's going to show up in your work life, in your community outreach, in your relationship with your spouse or your children. What we bring to the table in one area, it seeps into every area. Mm-hmm. It's lovely if we can compartmentalize. We tell ourselves we can compartmentalize, but that's not really real.
Yeah.
So what you're sharing about how this is so appropriate for your work life is right on, because that's how we are as humans. We can't really cut off parts of ourselves. It seeps in.
Yeah.
And right. It feels better, not
it feels better, but it's scary.
Dawn, I just saw a few joining us. Just let's repeat the first steps, perhaps the ones who missed it. So I will write it in the chat box. We can capture it in this way.
So the 3 things I did, is that what you're asking? So I committed somewhere along the way. I made the commitment to the process and to be consistent. I said yes. I was willing to consider other options or suggestions. What I was doing wasn't working, so I might as well try something else. And then for me, part of my journey has been spirituality and forming a relationship with God. That's really been critical for me.
So one of the things that I just want to add to what Sam said is that for her to be able to commit and say yes and to take action steps in her own process, it required her trusting me as her guide.
Yeah.
And so trust is really a big piece of this process. If you're not able to trust the person or people that you're working with or people in your support system, then it makes the process a lot more challenging. There's other barriers or barricades. So for her to place her trust in me is an honor for me that she allowed me to guide her through this journey.
But it takes time.
Right. It's also a testament to that she continued to challenge herself to build that trust.
And you. I mean, there are times where, like, you know, in the relationship is becomes safe, and so I can say I don't like that, or I don't, you know, I'm really uncomfortable now, like this, you know. But when you're committed and you're consistent, you just keep coming back. Like, I over time built up enough experiences to know that I was getting through all of it, and that I was feeling better on the other side, and so I could say, you know, look back at that past time, that worked out okay. This is going to work out okay too, and so the trust was built.
Yeah, I can see that. And I just thought about it, right? You needed to trust yourself too, Sam, that you could do it.
That was harder than trusting Dawn. Honestly, that was
harder. Isn't that funny?
Dawn used to say, you know, well, what's your truth? And I'd say, I have no idea, none. And she'd say, yes, you do. But I had denied my truth. I had ignored my truth for so long that it was hard for me to hear it at first. And it's only recently that I've started to figure all of that. So yeah.
I'm just right. I'm just tweeting out. So because it's important. Because it's important, we and perhaps every entrepreneur has it, right? But I know mostly online entrepreneurs. So many times it comes back whenever you reach your next success level, right? And I speak with Dawn about that. So now you're pretty successful. Now suddenly you're growing immense. And then you start again to mistrust. Do you have everything? Do you know everything? Do you need another team? What do you need to do? So suddenly you become insecure again about perhaps your abilities. So with every success step, you ground more, right? You ground more, but also you have the fears are coming again and again. So it's important. That's what I learned from Dawn. It's important to have consistency and to have your tools, have your coach. And also, like Dawn's book she recommends, they are awesome. Everything helps you because there is never something where you're done learning or where you're done growing. Right, Dawn?
Right? Oh, that's my belief. Yeah. If I've stopped learning, it means I'm dead.
Right. Right.
Yes. So the next thing that I wanted, the next step to releasing your fear that I wanted to ask Sam about were, what are some of the limiting beliefs or lies that you used to believe that you no longer use an excuse or no longer get in your way, or rarely get in your way?
Okay, so I used to think when I started with Dawn, I used to think, you know, I've done this before. I've done therapy before. It's not going to work. I used to think that, you know, like we were talking about fear being something we'd seen or experienced before happening in the future. Because it had worked for me before, I was convinced it wasn't going to work for me this time. Dawn said something somewhere along the way that sounded something like, you know, your circumstances today are different than your circumstances were then. And so statistically speaking, because I love logic, statistically speaking, it's going to be different this time. And so I really grabbed onto that. And I really believed that this time it could be different. Probably because of that desperation. But that fear it wasn't going to work has gone away over time.
But what you're pointing out is a really important part of this process, that you started to recognize when your fears had turned into distorted beliefs.
Yeah.
Because statistically, that's true, that there are no two snowflakes that are the same, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in a different moment in time, it's statistically impossible that it turns out exactly the same.
Right. And so then the next one was that fear that if I started talking, that I was just going to be consumed by this black hole of, either I sort of felt like I would start talking and I'd never stop crying, that I wouldn't be able to get out the other side. And so, for me, that turned into little by little and slow by slow, or whatever it is, just little by little. And I never had that event where I didn't get out the other side. And then, lastly, which is really the crux of it all, is that if I let you know who I am, that if I let you see those parts of me that I think are unlovable, that I won't be loved, right? Not that everybody's going to love me, and not that I won't be unlikable at times, because I'm still a selfish brat quite often. But if I really let you in, that you won't like me, that the vulnerability and the shame is overwhelming. And so I've come to believe through the spirituality and through working with Dawn and through being vulnerable that I really do believe that I'm perfect just the way I am. And I don't have to make a lot of money. I don't have to be tall and skinny. And I don't have to be perfect all the time to just inherently be okay. And, I slide back and forth into crazy, and, it's not always 100%. But I really do feel much more secure in that today, that I'll be okay, and that, whatever it is that I am ashamed of doesn't define me. So all of those have essentially either changed or melted away over time. And so it's a lot more comfortable to exist these days.
So I heard you say that, and these are very common, right? The things that you mentioned, that you were afraid it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I hear that one really, really frequently.
Mm-hmm.
That so many of my clients, they're so afraid to really commit to doing it differently because of that fear that it won't work, and then they'll be stuck in their misery and be out of options. And I heard you say that you let go of the fear that you wouldn't come out the other side, that you would
just be consumed.
Maybe even like fall deeper into fear and sadness or something like that. And then I heard you say that the crux of it all for you has been that letting go of the fear that if people really get to know the true, authentic Sam, that you wouldn't be loved. That you learned that that's not true. And really because you've started to be more of love yourself.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Accept the parts of yourself that
I really kind of like myself these days, and I hopefully like in a healthy way. But I think those walls and the coping mechanisms that I developed over time stopped me from being my authentic self. But it turns out I'm actually kind of a nice person. And I really feel like I always wanted to be a nice person and be likable. I just didn't know how, and so I was fake likable, and that's really I've learned through you that you can sense that, and so that inauthenticity makes people like you less. Turns out it's crazy, but so it's all been part of that process.
That what you said, that last part about fake authenticity, inauthenticity makes people like you less. I frequently also say that if you are functioning out of fear, that you're going to create the thing you fear the most. Mm-hmm. So it really is about shifting into doing it differently and recognizing how you're creating the fears with your own behaviors and actions. Mm-hmm. And you really just articulated that well. Yeah, thank you. So the next...
Can I just say something? So what I heard, and I'm logical too, so I use my logic and my intuition because there's no creativity. So it's interesting what you just said. So can I say that so more fear you have, so less space you have for self-love, and so more you love yourself, So less you're fearful, so less you're scared, because you just you trust yourself by loving yourself. Is that like that?
Yeah. I don't know how much of it is trusting me, but just trusting the concept that I'm going to be okay, that I'll get out on the other side. So if somebody doesn't like me, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to be okay.
Right. From this place of security, there's less to lose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're not fearful that you're always going to lose somebody's approval, or a relationship, or a job, because that's really the other side of this fear, right? I'm going to lose something, or something bad is going to happen. So if you can release that, then you're not constantly sitting with that idea that there's always something so powerful to lose.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that totally, because at the end, when you're at the point that you have nothing to lose anymore, then you're really free to do whatever you want to. And it's excuse me, it's with everything, right? I went to a public hearing, and a lot of people, they had a connection with the topic, emotional connection. So you could hear they didn't want to say it too hard, because they were scared, fearful if they say it too hard, then perhaps it has a consequence to the cause they wanted to support. So then you become weak, because your whole argument is suddenly weak. So it loses the whole intention which was behind it to do something good.
Yeah.
that's great insight, Dagmar. Thank you for adding that.
Just like fear is not, in Germany, they say fear is not a good advisor. Fear just makes you weak and makes you depending on other people's emotions. And you always will put other people first, and depending on that they love you, no matter, and then you just feel empty inside.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. So on the other side of releasing fear is ideally this feeling of freedom, a life that you want to find or embrace. And so the next thing that I want Sam to talk about is, how has your life changed? What are those goals that you have that you feel like you've reached, and how has your life become different as a result of doing this?
So I know I said that, you know, if you had asked me on day one if I'd still be here, and I would have said no. On day one, if you had asked me what my goals are, they're completely different today. You know, they're nothing like what I thought, like, you know, a life beyond your wildest dreams. Like, I never imagined that I could be the type of person I am today. And so, yeah, I have the tangible things. Like, I fortunately today have a job that I love. I have an apartment and a cat and a great boyfriend and all of that stuff. But beyond that, I really just don't go through life scared or anxious. You know, I suffer from a lot of anxiety. I used to have these irrational fears. You know, I'd be home alone and I'd be convinced there was somebody else in the apartment. Or I'd be at the gym on the treadmill and I'd be convinced somebody was going to come up from behind me. Like, there was no basis for these fears, but I had them all the time. And I don't have that anymore. I know that life happens and that I may experience pain, but I also know now that pain, my pain has a purpose. And that, Dawn said that a couple weeks ago, and again, life-changing. I can look back now on everything that I've been through, and I can see how it's helped to make me who I am today. And it really comes back, Dagmar, like you said, I actually love myself today. And so if I had to go through all that stuff to get here, then that's okay. And so I have, you know, I sleep at night. I didn't sleep since for as long as I can remember. I've had some form of insomnia, and you know,
really.
Yeah, I can sleep tonight. I know I'm going to go home tonight. I'm not going to be awake all night. I have so
That's
much
a testimonial.
I have so much
awesome.
in my life. Like, you know, I felt unlovable, but I knew, like, my parents loved me and they kind of have to love me. But I'm surrounded by people who love me today in many places. You know, geography, it's not limited to where I live. And I just know that I'm not alone, and that peace that comes from being okay. I was walking down the street and I stopped and looked at a pretty tree. And I was like, wow, look at the pretty tree. And then my next thought was, oh my God, I turned into somebody who stops and looks at pretty trees. And I never thought I would be that person. But today I can really look at the world as not such a scary place and embrace its beauty. And, you know, the mystery part used to scare me. I don't know what's going to happen next. I need to control everything so that I'll be okay. And now I can say, you know, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know I'm going to be okay. And that's part of the journey and part of the fun. So, you know, freedom. If I had to pick one word, like, I'm so much freer today than I was. And I never would have told you that that was my goal back then.
That's awesome. And you know what I couldn't feel your energy, Sam, right? And I'm so excited because I can see your next step, or I can feel, not see, can feel your next step will not be, I will be okay tomorrow. I will be, wow, I cannot wait for tomorrow and what's coming in my life.
I don't know who I am anymore, but it's awesome. Like, not in a bad way, you know, like, I guess I wouldn't be
compared with your old self, you don't know who you are.
I think sometimes, I know when I started, I was afraid to let my walls down and let those defects or whatever that were my coping mechanisms, if I let them go, who am I? You know, am I going to be the hole in the donut, right? Like, and so that's just not the case. You know, I'm more than I hoped I could be. You know, Dawn often says,
that's so awesome. Like, I have to congratulate you. That's so, like, you can be more than you ever thought. That's just unbelievable, Sam.
Yeah. I just never, I'm sort of still in denial. You know, I really am. And, you know, Dawn is always a big proponent of self-talk. And, you know, even saying, you know, in my prayers, help me be a better person. You know, I don't say that anymore. Today I say, help me be more of myself, because I know inherently I am who I want to be. It's just acting that, showing up in life the way I want to show up in life and be that good person that I want to be. And so I don't want to be someone else today. You know, I want to be me, and I want to be here, which is not what I wanted before. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Really is remarkable to hear you say back, like, all the things over the years.
The cumulative of everything you've ever said.
It's really remarkable, though, not just because you can, you know, it's not like you memorized everything I said. It's because you put it into action, you lived it, and so now it's concrete in your life, and it is so remarkable.
I mean, you know how intellectual I can be. I can say in my brain I get it, but I don't get it here. You know, and so it's me through getting it here, and it only gets here by living it, and it only becomes real through those experiences. So the stuff you say sticks, you know, like it I know you think we're not listening half the time, but like it just takes time. Like everything took time for me, and it's a process.
Yeah. But you know what you just said, I think it's so important. It's the same with weight loss, right? So you, from your logic, like, I'm totally logical. I can explain everything to myself. Right. But then doing it takes to turn off my brain and do it. And perhaps it just has nothing to do with that. I just thought about it as I found this injured duck, right? And I looked at this and I thought, I don't know, what should I do with the duck? I have no time at all. Like, I have not enough time in my business. What should I do with this? And I was fearful too, like, God, it's so hurt, and then I have to drive everywhere, and what will happen to this? And I already had my whole scenario made. And then I thought, I want to do something good every day. Okay, so I guess that's what it is. And I turned off my brain, and I turned off my fears consciously, because I wanted to be me. I'm an empathetic person. I'm a good person. I want to do this. I don't want that everything else is hindering me to be myself. So you just reminded me of that. You need to turn off. I needed to turn off my logical brain to be myself, and to stop, because my logical brain is created from the past or from information, but it's not created from spirituality or feelings or like excited about something I don't know, because it doesn't make sense to the logic.
And ideally, as a result of doing this work, it's really about being able to integrate the two in balance. And women are actually uniquely created or designed to be able to do this because our corpus callosum communicates between the two hemispheres of our brain, our left and our right brain. And so the more we do this work, the more that logic and spirit or feelings can communicate back and forth, and we can be in alignment. And that's really the ultimate goal. It's not that one of us is good or bad or right or wrong. It's about the marriage of the two that make us really balanced.
And the balance, like you said earlier about, we learn these things. Sometimes the fears, drive us to do certain things to protect ourselves. And for me, my brain is my biggest protector. I experienced uncomfortable feelings, or I experienced pain here, and so it stopped sending messages down here. And it just, everything stopped in my brain, and that was just a way for me to defend myself. And so finding the balance between, your brain's important, like you said. Fears, don't touch the hot stove twice.
Exactly.
Right.
For a reason. But it also, when it goes too far, for me, it separated me from people. And I know today that part of my purpose of being here is to be in relation with others. And so I have to find a way I have found a way to manage that so that I can connect with people.
And one of the ways that you did it, which you mentioned earlier, was that you practiced that first in relationship with me. So meaning when you were in session, you became willing to say, no, I don't like that. No, I'm angry with you, Dawn. And boy, when she gets angry with you, watch out. But that doesn't hardly ever happen anymore. But she was able to practice it in the beginning and know that it was totally safe. To me. Yeah. And then in a healthy relationship, we can say, hey, I'm angry with you, or I'm really afraid of this, or I don't like what you said, or that hurt my feelings, and that's okay. We're going to work it through, and it's not going to create a disconnection.
And you want to have something to do with love, right? And not sexual love, or not love you feel for your family or for your children. It has something to do with that you trust, that she trusted you as a coach, that you love her enough, that she can be like this, and you will not, abandon her.
Yeah. So I know I didn't experience any of that in my childhood. That wasn't modeled for me before. And so the ability to challenge you, and you not leave or whatever, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how, especially with my nuclear family, with my parents.
Nobody screamed, nobody cried, huh? Nobody got upset. Nobody used bad words.
No, nobody said no. Right. Nobody disagreed. And so for me to be able to say, I'm really uncomfortable, I don't like this, and for that to be okay, and for me to come back the next week and work through it was the first opportunity I've really had to do that. So it was key for me.
That's awesome.
Which kind of leads us into our fourth step, which is having a support system. And so I wanted Sam to talk a little bit, which she pretty much has been doing for the last 30 minutes. But explaining, because I'm not the only part of your support system. No. You have a huge support system. And I want you to talk a little bit about why that is so crucial to doing this work.
It serves a lot of purposes, right? Like if you have a good support system, it can do lots of things for you. But I know working with you and building that relationship was part of that, because I say in my brain, like, you're my interrupter. So my brain, my fear wants to tell me all of these things that aren't necessarily true. Like, whatever happened in the past is going to happen again. And so Dawn was able to be that voice of reason for me to interrupt that pattern in my brain and say, well, actually, have you thought about it this way? Because you're completely delusional and none of that is true. So, she was able, I don't know, I think it was Einstein or it was Mother Teresa or somebody said something like, you can't change your line of thinking from the same plane of thinking.
Right.
You need someone else to come in and help you work through these things. And so, that was sort of one of your main roles. But, the rest of my support system, I have a few people in my life who loved me when I really felt unlovable, would just be there no matter what. And I think part of my process and my growth has been learning, you know, who those people are. You know, not everybody is that person. Not everybody can be that person. Not everybody should be that person. But I found a few who were really safe for me. They hold me accountable. So the women's group, you know, when I sign up for the women's group, Dawn says, so you have to commit for 3 months. And I said, okay, I guess. But being accountable and showing up really was part of that process for me, because I couldn't just quit. You know, there was somebody to say, hey, how are you? Where have you been? Whatever. And then I guess the rest, you know, the rest, everybody else falls into the bucket of enjoying life. Like today, I want to go and enjoy life. And so they showed me that I could go and do things that were fun, and I could do them with people. You know, I didn't have to stay at home, or I didn't have to be miserable for the rest of my life, that there was a life out there to live and be enjoyed. And so I never thought I would have this kind of support system. And I feel like I would shrivel up and die without it today, you know, because it's my lifeblood. I moved away to Charlotte about 10 months ago, and I know that transition would have been so much harder for me if I didn't have that support system in place. Like I really can't wrap my brain around what it would be like. And I've been fortunate enough, like I've gotten so good at this relationship thing that I've maintained the relationships that I had before. You know, I never thought that you put a couple 1,000 miles in between us, that I would be able to still call people and still see people and have those relationships that weren't fake. I've moved away before.
So missed.
So missed, you know, but at the same time, still alive. Not, you know, like I've moved away before.
It didn't kill you.
It didn't kill me. And I know it's going to be okay. Like, I'll be all right. And I've had that support system to help me through that. And I couldn't have done it without you and without other people. So.
You know what is funny? Like, and coming back again to what I love, business, right? And online marketing, social media. Go anywhere, go to any chat, and they say that the success of your whatever, of the traffic you get to your site, or of your conversions, of rankings, it all still needs, you need to have a support system, social media engagement. You need to have a support system you can rely on, who builds you up, who strengthens you, who guides you, who mentors you. Because guess what? Like, we need to do things we never did in our life before. And we have no role models, right? Like what I do, like this industry didn't exist 20 years ago. I have now role models, but still you need a good balance, like of different role models for how to be empathetic online, role models for SEO, role models for how to do your online business in the most effective and economical way, right? So it totally makes sense when you share that for our personal life, for our personal development, for our personal growth, to overcome fears. There's no way how you can do it with a book, by reading a book or by going to a 1 hour class and then think, oh, I know everything, right? I know everything.
It's really hysterical to me, actually, that, and she just shared this with me today, that in her mind, I'm her interrupter.
Yeah.
I love that. I probably will be tweeting that for a while.
Yeah, I love that too.
Call me for a session of interrupting.
Yeah.
Because one of my personal goals as a therapist, I guess professional goals as a therapist, has been to interrupt less.
Well, I know
so
it's
awesome.
more. Yeah, so it's not like
no, I know what you mean.
Irony.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because we have the same, right? Now online is a 3-second span where you pay attention, and you shouldn't. So online, what now the direction is going in the old world, marketers interrupted, right, to get access. But now it's more what Dawn does. Dawn, she challenges you with new ideas, with new thoughts, with questioning your belief. So she gives you, she feeds you. And that's exactly what we do online. It's all about enriching, empowering, providing great value, building trust, building loyalty, right? So that's really, we humans, we really don't want to have I don't want to have a therapist who tells me you need to do this and you shouldn't do this. I want somebody who guides me. I want somebody where I can say, no, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I need to be allowed to say that without this other person, the therapist feels offended from me and then doesn't want to deal with me anymore. So
I love how you are integrating what we're talking about today into your world, your life. It's wonderful to hear you really, how you're processing and internalizing all the things that we're talking about and being able to apply it to how you live and work.
Yeah. We live online. Most of us live online now, do you? Like it's more and more. We shop online. We do everything online.
That's how Sam and I do therapy now. Because she lives in Charlotte.
Perfect. And nobody taught us offline how to communicate. So now suddenly you should know it online. You don't.
So true. Yeah. So thank you, Sam, for sharing everything that you shared with us. The last thing that you just shared with us was why having a support system is so important. And it's so true. It's been true in my life personally and professionally, and Dagmar is certainly part of my support system, and I'm so grateful. The fifth and final step that I want you to know is so critical and crucial to releasing your fear and being your authentic self is staying committed and just constantly recommitting to the process. And I know Sam has highlighted that throughout today's talk, but that really is crucial because there are going to be those moments where it feels painful or it feels hard and your brain is going to tell you this is too hard. I can't do this, or whatever its old messages are. And so the really important thing is to find a way to stay committed even in the face of roadblocks or challenges, because that's really where you're going to pull through to the other side, is being able to know that no matter what, you're going to be true to yourself. And when you do that, you'll see growth and you'll see changes. And it's so important that we recognize that growth in ourselves and we acknowledge it and congratulate ourselves so we can feel good about the work that we're doing and feel like it's worth it and it has purpose. So the fifth and final step is stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like consistency is everything. It just is. Like there's no way how you can move forward in anything, like at least what I experienced, in anything without having consistency and having growth. And I think it's amazing what you two just shared, because what I just know from Germany, right? Our therapy in Germany is just you lay down on the sofa, you talk, and then the therapist sends you home, you come back and talk. And that's what some people just want, right? So they want to have somebody to talk with. What I love, like especially with Dawn, what I love on Dawn, that my goal is her goal. Her goal is not therapeuting me for an hour and then she's done with me. My goal of what do I want to accomplish, where do I want to go in, becomes her goal, and becomes her goal in her flesh and her mind, in her spirit. So the energy she shares comes into mine, and like the frequencies, and then you go higher and higher. And that's what I see really working if you want to get over your fears, what we talked about in our topic. Get over your fears and become your authentic self. You need somebody you can trust, you love, guiding you with the purpose in mind that your goal is their goal.
And modeling it, you know.
Yes.
So obviously, Dawn creates that safety in our sessions, but I see Dawn living her authentic self too.
Yes.
So by her doing that, and sort of me seeing that be successful for you, you know, that gives me like the courage to be like, okay, Dawn can do it. I can do it too, you know. And so it's not just about how you show up here. What you do here, you do out there too. And so, you know, that's been critical for me too.
And that's such a powerful thought, because as you were saying that, I was thinking about the last therapist that I worked with so closely. I had the same experience with her, right? Okay, so she's doing it, she did it, I can do it too. So when you think about how far back that, because I know she would share with me that her therapist supported her the same way.
Right.
So how far does that go back, and then how powerfully are you paying that forward in your own life, in the way that you're modeling things for the people that, you know, how many people are you offering this to now that can go back and watch this forever? But it is so powerful, because if you don't give that gift away, then
and once you have it, you want to give it away. You know, I talked about my prayers. Like, one of my other prayers is to help me be an example of the life that you can live. And I want to share it. Like, you know, sometimes it's hard to see people who are struggling, because I know that there may be other options for them. And so I really just want to be an example, so that people know they can live a different kind of life, and it's possible. So that's one of my hopes.
Yeah. So what you just said, you have the gift of your message and what you want to share with the world, but you also have the gift by working with Dawn to overcoming your fears, getting rid of your fears and living your authentic life, because you need both. You need your gift, the value you share with the world, and you need your gift that you don't have the fears anymore. And that's what you can share with others. They can share their value with the world by overcoming their fears and working with Dawn, or in which way ever. So yeah, I think that's pretty powerful what you just said. You need both. You need to know how you can make a difference in the world, but you also need to have the ability to make the difference in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you both so much for being here, and thank you to everyone that joined us today live, and for all of you who are watching this video. I hope that we helped you a little bit in finding your path to truth and to freedom, and feeling like you have the ability to really live your authentic life and not be controlled by fear. And wish you all that type of life, because it is.
I will just post the blog post, so if you want just to look for the 5 steps, you will find them.
Yes, please.
In the chat.
On my website, wigginstherapy.com, there is a blog section, and this video will be posted along with a blog with the 5 steps about how to release your fear, let go of fear, and be your authentic self. And if you would like to reach out to me, please always feel free to do so. You can send me an email through the website or call me anytime.
Yep, and I just posted your link for the On the House consult for everybody who's listening live or to the recording.
Absolutely. And as you heard today, it doesn't matter if you live in Florida or not.
For Charlotte,
if there's a will, there's a way. So,
you know what? It's so funny. I'm pretty sure they say that in many languages. We have the same journey. Wo ist ein Wille, da ist ein Weg.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Nice. In German from Dagmar, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much, and to everyone else, have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Always empowering and enriching. Thank you, Sam, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.